Hey guys, welcome back to my video. Today I will finally do the Get to Know Your Stitcher tag from Nikki at Whimsy Days Ago. And I think it's a great idea she started this because when I watch your videos, I've also wondered, who you are outside of your stitching projects. So I'll go ahead. I didn't really write down all the questions, but I think I remember it pretty well by now. So the first question is, where do you live? And I live in Toronto. I've been living here for the last 14 years. Um, I came to Canada to go to university. I come from a small country in South America where we really don't have the best educational system, I would say. So I have some relatives here. So I came here to study information technology, um, graduated, and found some jobs here, and I've been living here ever since. I love Toronto. It's a great city. I've seen quite a bit of Canada, especially this year, because this year I went to Vancouver for the second time, and then I also went to the Rockies, and I also took a road trip out east to the Maritimes. So I visited um, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, as well as PEI. I still have to visit Newfoundland, but that's going to be a separate trip because it's just so huge and so beautiful. Everyone tells me I gotta dedicate at least 2 weeks to that. So that's me, Canadian. And then I already told you what I study, and that's what I do for a living as well. I work in IT. I'm an IT manager in a small organization. And what I really love about my job is that I don't have to be very technical, thank God. Like, for instance, well, we have a vendor who takes care of our servers. They do our help desk and things like that. They take care of the security and the firewalls and all those, I don't know, settings that I honestly don't even know. Uh, my job is to make sure that everything runs smoothly, that our staff has the right technology and tools they need, that our infrastructure is, robust and available and it's backed up, and that we have a disaster recovery plan in case things go wrong. I work with people when we have a new project or when we need new software, things like that. I work with people to make sure we understand what they really need, and then I work with the technical people to understand, what the possible alternatives are, what are the various impacts it could already have on existing tools or processes, things like that, and then figure out a plan to implement it and make it happen. So I really like my job. It's a small office. We have about 10, 11 people, and my boss is awesome. I really, really, I'm very fortunate to have a great boss. Um, and yeah, I love my coworkers. We are a very warm, friendly office. We have lunches together. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say we hang out after work. Once in a while, we'll go out for drinks and things like that. But I see them all. We see each other every single day already. We're definitely friendly, but we're not besties after work. I think that's a little bit too much. So what I also 2 years ago I decided to go back to school and get my master's degree in information science, and I'm doing it part time. Normally the program is 2 years if you do it full time, but if you do it part time, it takes twice as long. So that's 4 years of hell. You can tell I'm tired of it. So I'm right now in my third year, and this year has been particularly tough because all the friends I made during first year, they graduated, this summer, and I certainly miss them, and it just reminds me how much longer I have to go. Um, and also work has been getting busier. I am more into stitching this year, so I really feel like I want more time to have, for stitching instead of studying. So yeah, I'm pretty tired of school, but I'm halfway there, and I've always wanted to get my master's. And basically, a master of information is what they used to call the Masters of Library. Like if you wanted to be a librarian, that's the degree you get. At this university, though, they have modernized it a little bit, and they have introduced different concentrations. So what I'm concentrating on is knowledge management and information systems and design. So I'm focusing a little bit more on the technical aspects, and I kind of want to call it the more corporate aspects of information management, because as you may know, a lot of organizations now have corporate libraries. They also have corporate portals, like knowledge portals, shared intranets, so it's a pretty much growing field, and I really enjoy the studies. Most of the time I'm learning a lot. Um, that's what I try to keep in mind. I'm learning a lot and try not to get bogged down with all the assignments and all the deadlines and the group work that you have to do. Most of my groups have been really good. I've been pretty lucky with that. Anyway, so that's what I do. Luckily, I don't have kids. I have a boyfriend. We live together, but we don't have kids, so that's good. We have two cats who, this is so funny because during the school year, during the week, I don't have a lot of time uh, to give attention to my cats. So what I've noticed in the last few weeks is that on the weekends when I'm home more often, they will come and sit on the couch with me, or they'll sit on my lap. And while these are pretty affectionate cats, they're not lap cats. They generally don't come sit with you unless they want something from you. So I can tell that my little babies need attention too. So yeah, I can't really stitch if they're on my lap like that. So sometimes I'm like, oh, not now. I want to keep on stitching, but it's okay. They need some loving, and I totally understand. Their names are Pebbles and Bam Bam, and I've always wanted to have a ginger cat. And a few years ago, I went to the shelter, and I wanted to adopt them, and I knew I wanted a ginger, and then the other one I wanted to have a gray cat, and they were the two perfect ones in the shelter. But Bam Bam, the ginger, was sleeping in a cage in the same box with his brother, who was definitely not a gray one, but they were so sweet together. I just couldn't bring it in me to separate them, so I took them both home, and you know what? They're both amazing cat. And the other, Pebbles, his brother that I didn't intend to adopt, he's just such a sweet cat, and he's a smart cat. He's a really smart cat. So yeah, it all turned out for the best. I do, random fact, I have a secret desire to collect a cat of every single color. Not necessarily every single breed. I'm not really into breeds, but I would love to have a calico and then a tawny and a white one and a black one, a gray one, one with a tuxedo. Like I really one day when I'm allowed to be a crazy cat lady, that's what I gonna do. All right. Three other hobbies I do besides stitching, and besides being obviously a crazy cat person. I like to read. I generally love cozy mysteries. There's a specific genre for relaxing. So Agatha Christie is one of my favorites, and lots of those, little English countryside ones. I like those. Otherwise, I also like to read classics, definitely. And also, I don't want to sound snobby, but books that either have won a literature prize or have been shortlisted for these prizes. I like those books, especially because they generally allow me to experience someone else's life that that's not my life, obviously. So it really broadens my horizons, and a lot of those books also bring up uh, I guess difficult issues or difficult situations that people find themselves in. So very thought provoking, and I love those books as well. But they're a little bit heavier reading, so I don't read as many of them. And then recently, in the last 2 3 years or so, I've also gotten into fantasy and science fiction books, specifically the classics. So I'm rereading the Foundation series. I haven't read the iRobot series, so I really want to read that. I read um, all the, of course, Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien's. Um, also, Ender's Game, which was really good, and I started reading some of his other books, which are not as good. And I really want to read Dune. It's still on my list, so I'm slowly going through the sci-fi classics. Funny enough, though, for all the love I have for Game of Thrones, I haven't read the books yet. I know it's weird, and I can explain it because the I don't want to spoil the TV series. Every time I read a book first before watching the show or series or movie, I'm extremely disappointed. So I don't want to be disappointed. I'm loving the series so far, so I'm gonna read the books, when everything is done, or maybe I'll start reading the first book because now it's far enough. Anyways, second hobby, I would say definitely knitting. Before I was a stitcher, I was a huge knitter. I started knitting about 7 years ago, maybe even 8 years ago now, and I love it. I've done all sorts of things in knitting. I have an entire closet full of sweaters and cardigans and scarves and socks and shawls and all those things. And then I got a little bit bored with it. I have a huge stash, but I found, like I felt like I've done everything already, and the one thing that knitting was lacking for me was anything in terms of like decoration. I really wanted to put things on my wall. I like prints and things like that. And cross stitching is great because once the piece is done, I can frame it and put it on my wall, and people can be like, "Oh my God, did you make that?" Yes, 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 I did. So knitting for sure. Third one, I would say for now, I like playing little games on my tablet. I have an Nexus 7, and I like games like Temple Run, Plant vs Zombies. I love Plant vs Zombies. Oh my God, I think it's my favorite mobile game of all times. Little puzzle games like I do Scrabble. I have like this Picto Cross thing that I love. So little small games that don't take too long. I no longer have a gaming PC. I have an older laptop that I just use for assignments and things like that. I do have a PS3, but I didn't bother to buy the PS4. And it's been a long time since I actually played a PC or console game. The last one was maybe last year. I played Ni no Kuni, which is a RPG style, like almost like a Pokemon kind of game. And that's the kind of games that I like. I don't usually like, oh, actually, yeah, I definitely don't like FPS, first person shooters, because they make me dizzy. I know, it's awful. Plus, I don't have really good hand-eye coordination, so those kind of games I don't really like. I played little bit of Bioshock when it came out, and I loved it because it has that puzzle element in it, and that's why I love it. But generally, back in the day, what I used to play was MMOs, and specifically World of Warcraft. That's the one I put so many hours into. Wow. For some, like, if you're not a gamer, you do not understand how time consuming this stuff can be, and how you can easily play all night and all day. Really, really. It was pretty hardcore. I belonged to a raiding guild. And we were a pretty successful raiding guild. We were even number one for a while, and we were always in the top three of the server. So, as you can imagine, we had raids every single night, and we had raids on the weekends. It was just nonstop. It was really fun though because it's a great community, right? It's like all people who love the same thing you do, and you all bond over it. And for those who are interested, I used to play a gnome mage, whenever I play MMOs, I tend to play a mage because, fireballs and all that. You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. I will always want to be black mage, all the destruction. That's so much cooler than being, I don't know, white mage or a thief or fighter, whatever. Um, but my most favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy 11. Um, it is just such a great MMO. It's not an easy game to play, and I really appreciate that. But you know, you can tell that the designers have put in so much thought and into the game. There's all these little things that nothing in the game comes easy, and that's really what I like about it, because you really got to work at it. And when someone achieved something, it was like, wow, really, not like wow where everything, wow was pretty easy, let's be honest. It's a pretty easy game. Anyways, so that's my moment of geekery here. So let's see, what other questions did she have? I think she wanted to know your favorite books or TV shows or movies. I don't watch a lot of movies, so I can't really name any of those. TV shows, I do watch a lot of them, and my favorite genre is probably things like the crime shows. Criminal Minds, CSI, Bones, NCIS even. And what I really like about those kind of shows is everything is contained in one episode. You know, I love it. It's just a little short movie almost, and it always has a happy ending. And there's a maybe overarching storyline that goes on to the next episode or for the entire season, but every episode is a nice little ending, and I love that. It's not like 24 where you just have to keep on watching for, I don't know, 24 episodes or 12 episodes, whatever the number is, before you know what happens. My favorite books, I would have to say my favorite author of all time, I already mentioned, that's Agatha Christie. I have all her books. I've read them multiple times, and at this point, I probably should be able to um, tell you all tell you all the plots and whatnot. I just think her books are ingenious. When I read her books, I turn my brain off, and I'm always surprised at the end, like, oh my god, yes, this person really did it. He's a murderer, and all the clues clearly point towards him. How could I not have seen it? Anyways, yeah. So those are my favorite books, and I don't know what else she was asking about. I think she wanted to know, one of them I remember, if you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be? And that's really hard. Um, I don't know how to describe myself in one word. Um, I can say I'm crafty, because people think I'm crafty because I knit and I, stitch and I do things like that. Um, I don't want to say I'm nerdy or geeky because I feel I'm not as nerdy or geeky as a lot of people I admire, and I wish I could be more into those things. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit, in the middle. I'm a jack of all trades, red mage. If you play games, definitely be a red mage. So we'll keep it at that. Um, Anyways, I want to do a quick. Do I have time? I hope so. Um, if I have time, I'm gonna do a quick stitchy spot tag, and I'm actually already sitting where I stitch most of the time, which is in the corner of my couch. And as you can see here, this is my the sofa cushions, and I use them for my stitching. Basically, what I do is I usually just sit here, and I have my legs up like this because I stitch in hand, and I like to drape the fabric over my knees, and that's how I have to, I don't have to support it myself. If I was sitting like this, I have to support everything, but the fabric drapes over it, and then I can just stitch in hand like this. And I use the space in front or next to me for all my things. So I have my tablet for watching videos, browsing the internet, playing Scrabble, whatever not. Um, I have my thread heaven, which I use all the time. I have my little biscornu that I use as a pin cushion. I made this myself and I love the colors. I probably have to make more of them because they're quick little stitches and they're beautiful. My scissors, my highlighters because I use a chart. My bobbins in the box. I don't always use bobbins when it's a kit and they come with those cardboard strips with the holes punched out. I tend to just use those and then I would drape them over here. And yeah, that's basically all the tools I have. Oh, one more thing, one more tool. Here we go. This is my favorite tool because at the end of every night or even during when I'm stitching, this is a reheatable rice pack. It's filled with rice. I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes and then when it comes out, I can put it on my shoulders and neck and it's just so great on my muscles because we stitchers, we hunch over our work, so this helps loosen it up at the end. And then I'm gonna take the camera over here because I want to show you what I do here, and this is pretty ghetto, but you'll see it makes sense. So let me just grab this. All right, I'm not gonna get too close to the chart, but basically what I do, I don't know if you can see the needles here. Yep. So I put my charts next to me on the cushions, and then to keep them in place, I just take a pair of size 24 needles and stick them in, and that way I'm sitting here and I can just quickly look to the left when I'm stitching, and then I stitch, and then I have my highlighters on the right hand side over here, and my scissors and everything, and the thread heaven and the floss I'm working on, and the left, these change all the time because depending on where my cats like to lie down next to me, I might just switch it around, and sometimes I'll sit here instead. It really doesn't matter. And then my view, okay, I'll show you my view. There really isn't much of a view. Ta-da! It's a huge TV. So I like stitching here. I have my computer hooked up to the TV. I also can watch YouTube videos on the TV, and I'll just pan a little bit. There's my Daenerys. I keep it there until I find a good place on the wall I want to hang it, but so this way I can always see it. And basically, yeah, that's it. So oh, you can see Pebbles in the corner there. He's in one of his favorite sleeping spots. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, or if you wanted, if you're watching this, I would tag you to do the Get to Know Your Stitcher tag as well. I would love to see, hear more about yourselves and what you do and where you come from, what you do outside of stitching. So please consider yourself tagged. And if you have any questions or any comments, leave them below. And as always, thank you for watching and happy stitching.